Yeah, hello and welcome to another episode of the Spielworxx Chat Season 3. My name is Uli Blennemann and I hope you are all well. And it is my great pleasure to welcome a returning guest today. It is my good friend, tabletop legend and Podfather of gaming, Stephen Buonocore. Welcome, Stephen. How are you?
You are too kind. Definitely the friend part. That's accurate. The Podfather of gaming. Okay, I'll take that. But legend, it's a little bit much. But thank you so much, Uli. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is simply the truth. And there is Mary Mac in the chat. Hello, good seeing you. Yeah, and Stephen, you're looking great, you're really great too. And this must be the brutal and hard retirement life in
It's
Florida, right?
it's hard. It's really hard being here with like the most perfect weather in the world and relaxing with no stress and I create my own stress these days by maybe traveling too much, by remodeling my house that took like a year to finish and things like that. But really enjoying myself and staying in touch, of course, with the industry and with gamers by doing most of that travel to game conventions and gaming events, which I do more now than ever on some level. It's been great doing that, staying in touch with gamers the whole time.
Yeah, fantastic. And hello, Mo. Hello to Texas. Mo is the designer of the cost. And there's hello, Hans. Good seeing you. Game Days. Hello. And designer Matt Wolf. Hello. Good seeing you.
Oh, good old Matt.
And
Yeah.
Matt, to just let you know in this way directly, your game will go to Mallorca to the editors gathering next week. So I'm also excited to play the game to test your new game over there. And hello, Carsten, good seeing you. To start, Stephen, for the one or two people who may not know you, which would be a shame, but let us know what exactly are you doing these
What,
days?
who am I, right? Well, Stephen Buonocore, the the founder, owner, ex-president, also all ex of Stronghold Games, and that's how I met Uli and so many of my great friends in the industry. I retired in 2020 after merging the company in 2018 with Indie Boards and Cards, creating indie game studios, and that company is thriving, and they didn't need me anymore. So I said, you know what, Travis Worthington, he's my good buddy too. I said, you got that. I'm going to hit the beach, and it's been great. And now, literally, I've rebranded as the Podfather of Gaming, as you can see by my branding here.
Yes.
Um, and I was always called the Podfather by podcasters out there because I would appear on everyone's podcast just to advertise the company, advertise Stronghold Games, do a little bit of marketing with them. So they called me the Podfather at the time. So once I retired, I adopted it, for my media persona now, the Podfather of Gaming. And I do a little bit. I'm not a prolific media person like Tom Vassell and the Dice Tower. My gosh, but I'm on the Dice Tower network, so I contribute there. I put up various videos on my YouTube channel. I stay active on Twitter so that I stay in touch. People can talk to me all the time there. And in general, just I do a lot of interactions with gamers and with people that I see have a great spark in what they're doing. So I do selective mentoring of
Mm-hmm.
various
Mm-hmm.
people who are in the industry and who are usually younger or of a group that is underrepresented, so that we can continue making this a more diverse, a more inclusive, and more wonderful industry, which is something that we all want to do, and something that's how you're going to grow the industry, by bringing in people who don't have as much contact with
Yeah.
games and gamers and conventions and the industry. So that's what I like to do. And of course, I do things without monetizing myself at all. I do not. The more I said it a bunch of times, and then there was like points where like I could make money, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not monetizing myself. I've done what I've done and I'm comfortable. And now anything I do is to give back to the industry and to give back to gamers out there. And that gives me a lot of fulfillment to do that.
Yeah, and I think this is really wonderful. And there are so many new people or people who came to the hobby in the last couple of years who really need some direction. And so this is wonderful that you are providing this. And there is Scanmars314. Hi guys, hi Stephen. And I'm putting in here the Podfather of Gaming website in here. And you already mentioned your YouTube channel. So
Right.
I will also put in that link in here. But you're also
And
with a church.
I'd like to even mention the thing that I'm most active on. I mean, YouTube, yes, and Twitter, yes. The place that I'm most active of all is the Podfather of Gaming group on Facebook. Now, that group has very little gaming in it. Very little gaming. What it is a place that we all laugh and have fun together. And obviously when we're on a space like Facebook, we're not going to be doing gaming, but we can interact in fun and funny ways to stay in touch. I started that during COVID, and I started doing this happy hour with the Podfather, and I did it for 15 months, twice a year, at different times so Europe could even join in. And I did it so that people can stay in touch together. So once we all got back in the game, figuratively, like back out, and we're doing stuff outside of our homes now, we didn't need that every hour, twice a week for an hour get-togethers. But what I thought we could use is a place where we could have a nice safe space, a nice fun space. And I created that group on Facebook. So now you'll see 80% of people throwing out dad jokes and internet memes and just funny things, normally surrounding geeky stuff, but also just around just silly stuff. So if you want to join something and hang out with a bunch of fun people, and there's 1,500 members of that group right now.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, and it's just literally people just posting stuff to have fun. Go over to Facebook, the Podfather of Gaming group, and join and post some fun stuff and talk to people and things like that.
Wonderful. And we are having some people here who are saying, I'm in this in that group. That's us. And Mo is also saying that you are posting a lot of memes over there. Stephen has a strong meme game too, so it's also over there. So yeah, wonderful. So I think this is really important because yes, we are all gamers and we want to play games, but the people, they are even more important than the game. I'm always saying, let's say mediocre game or not that outstanding game with a great group of people is better to play than an outstanding game with a group of people where you're thinking, not that good. So you want to be with people, and then the game on the table is just a means of communication, and you can have stories. It's simply fantastic. But Stephen, you're doing even more with this certain Ignacy, this Slavic guy. You're doing something else, right?
Yeah, so for the last, I think it's been like 7 years at this point. It's been, at least 7 years. Ignacy Chevicek, the owner, president of Portal Games, and I have had a podcast called Board Games Insider, which is a regular podcast that you can get it wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Or now we record it, video record it with very little editing. It just basically goes up very raw onto my YouTube channel, The Podfather of Gaming. And we talk about the industry. We talk about, number one, of course, what's happening at Portal Games. Two, it used to be what's happening at Stronghold. Now it's just what's happening in my life, like the crazy traveling and the renovations and things like that. And then we talk about news of the industry. We scrape the gaming news around the internet, and we talk about article after article about what's happening there. Then we take questions from our guild on Board Game Geek. And finally, we ask a question of our audience various questions, usually within the game space, sometimes simply about, what you're going to do, with your what's the first game you're going to buy once you got your Christmas money, or things like that. We just ask a general question of the audience, and then we get the answers for next show. And we've been doing this again. We're in episode 238, I think, will drop tomorrow. And it's great. I mean, we just have a great time doing it. I think Ignacy and I have a fantastic rapport going back and forth. We make fun of each other's accents, where I think he's got a more easy to understand accent than me. My New York, Brooklyn accent could be a little bit tough. But we just have a great time doing that. And again, that's another part of I think, for Ignacy, it's a little bit of advertising, right? Because he talks about his releases. Yeah. For me, it's literally, I'm going to give you my perspective, and he's going to give his on the news coming out and on questions that people have asked us about how the industry works and what kind of game would we publish, what sells, what doesn't sell, what's the biggest cost, what's not, and the questions are endless, because we have this great guild on Board Game Geek, and I just keep grabbing them and scraping them and putting them in. We do a bunch of news, a bunch of those questions. We go for like 45 minutes to an hour, and I think it's a great way of gamers hearing from two insiders into how the industry works, and that is a ton of fun for me to do as well.
Yeah, and really, people, if you do not know Board Games Insider, and I just posted the website info as well, so please listen to it. Yes, there are gaming news, and there is Board Games Insider. So the difference is that it's also entertaining. You don't want to just hear Asmodee announced and Hasbro announced and that company announced. You want to have a good mixture, and you want to know the hosts. And I think it's a mix of entertainment with information, which is really outstanding. So if you do not listen to Board Games Insider, you should definitely do so.
Thank you.
Stephen, but just recently you attended Origins, so a major convention, which was early this month? June?
It was just 2 weeks ago, in fact.
2 weeks.
Yeah, just got back a week ago, so it was whatever those dates were, like June 8th through June 12th.
Yeah, but Stephen, so first I'm interested in your opinion how Origins was, maybe compared to 2019, so when you probably last attended the convention. But I'm also very interested because you did not attend Origins just as a normal standard gamer, but also you had an official media role over there. So please talk about Origins.
Yeah, we'll get to the official role in a second, but Origins, I really think Origins went very, very well. From a gamer's perspective, from an external perspective, there was things going on constantly, more than just like looking into the exhibit hall, sitting down and taking demos, going through and going into the like open gaming and the scheduled gaming. They had such interesting events that they were putting on, and a lot of the major conventions, Gen Con does this too. They had a magician who did up close and personal magic, like this close, like as close as my hands are to the camera right there. He was doing magic, putting cards in my hand. He puts the queen in my hand, and it's obvious, and then he turns it over and it's a 4. And he did. It was insane, the kind of stuff that he kept doing. And it was funny when I met him kind of randomly in the halls, and he was like, "Whoa, you're Stephen Buonocore, big fan." I'm like, yeah, thank you. It's great. You are. I'm so-and-so Caleb Wiles. I'm a magician. I'm doing this magic show coming up soon, and let me show you this. And he shows me a trick. I'm like, I'm now a fan of yours. I'm going to be at your show. And I went to the show, and it was fantastic. So little things like that were great. And just in general, all of the other regular events and gaming events, they all seem to go so smoothly. Registration seemed to go smoothly, no issues. The convention was like let's call it 60% of the size of 2019, where they went over 20,000. So they had 12,000. I believe that's the official number. I got that right from the executive director. So he said that they were going to publish. It was a hair under 12,000. I think that's good in this currently weird time. I certainly think that we need a second strong summer convention. So I'm hoping that Origins can continue. Gamma, the running organization, the body that runs it, I hope that they can continue to up their game and get the people back there. And, hopefully by next year, we'll be back at close or closer to the 2019 levels.
Yeah, but Stephen, to interrupt you for a second, for us Europeans, European viewers, listeners, 12,000 does not mean 12,000 people. Of course, it means 12,000, but it's 12,000 individual people attending the convention. We know this from Essen, where each day everybody that enters, is it turnstile or what is it?
They call it, what we call it, and I don't know the name in German or what they say. It's called turnstiles. But it's not even how many people walk in, because they're not counting people. If you buy a 4-day badge,
you're four person.
You're four people for the Spiel. Yeah. You're 4 people, which is a way of counting. That's cool. That's just, as long as everyone's transparent, that's great. At Gen Con, when they were at their peak in 2019, they had 70,000 individual people. So if you bought a 4 or 5-day pass, you're one person. If you bought just a Saturday badge, you're one person. It's a different way of counting. I prefer I'll call it the American way. I don't know if it's really the way. I prefer, like, you're a person, you're counted once. But Essen says it's 200,000 people now, and counting their way, we can try to make an equation between them. I think that they're fairly equally sized, with Essen probably being a little bit bigger in total individual people, a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
I agree, and I would probably say it would be Gen Con if it has 70,000 people in 2019. It's probably times 3 for Essen. So it's also instead of times 4, because there are so many people who are having a 4-day badge. And Mary Mac is saying, a 4-day badge is one unique and 4 turnstile. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Correct. But I'm also having a few questions here. So Matt is asking, when is the official Podfather convention, Stephen? So,
that is a great question, Matt, and I'm gonna plug something right now. So what I decided to run, and it's in the group, in the Podfather of Gaming group on Facebook. It's been posted there. Podfather the Cruise. Now, for anybody who listens to the crazy things I do, I go on a lot of cruises. I happen to live in the cruising capital of the world. The three of the 5 biggest, or 3 of the 4 biggest cruise ports in the world, in total number of passengers, are in Florida: Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Port Canaveral, like around Disney. So I can go to any of these places. They're all basically drivable to get on a ship to take a cruise. So I'm going to run in January of 2023. Podfather the Cruise. I'm not expecting it to be as big as BGG at Sea. Certainly not as big as Dice Tower Cruise. But Dice Tower Cruise is tremendous. Dice Tower Cruise is now 500 people. I would like to get 20 cabins, and I'll be ecstatic. Maybe 30. I doubt I'll get that many. But if anybody would like to cruise on a very big ship, we're going on in the Oasis class ships, the biggest ships in the world, on Royal Caribbean. We're going all the way, 8-day, 8-night cruise, all the way to South America, Aruba and Curacao. And I've not been to either of those, and I've never been to South America, so it's a bucket list kind of for people. If you want to come down, and if you're in Florida, or if you're anywhere that you want to fly in, come and do this cruise. It's going to have gaming, but it's gonna absolutely focus on a warm social atmosphere. Just getting people together to relax and say, hey, we're gonna hang out at the so and so pub tonight. I'm gonna organize a trip if you want to do an excursion together and things like that. So check it out, the Podfather Gaming group on Facebook. Look for the event. Podfather the Cruise, January 5th through something, 7th through 15th,
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, and the info was already disclosed here in the chat. So there are some people, as I said, from your group. So
Good.
yeah, and Matt, you see, there is actually a Podfather of Gaming convention
And
going on.
I am considering running a, call it, a Podfather the Gathering is what in my head now, to do a mini convention, but that's a lot of logistics. And again, I don't like work, so I don't want to work. It's easy to organize a cruise because I also have Jeff Anderson, who runs BGG at Sea. He's running the cruise for me and getting the money. I don't want to. Oh, the most important thing about Podfather the Cruise, it's for charity. I'm paying for my own room. All net proceeds, are going directly to charity. Everybody pays for the room. It's going to charity. So I hope that I can write a $10,000 check or something like that to charity in the end. That would make me so happy. So that's another important thing. If you can squeeze in an 8-day cruise, all the money goes to charity. And in fact, I've even announced the charity. It's going to Ukrainian relief efforts.
Wonderful. This is and yeah, to do this at this very moment here. Please continue. We are now in 115 days or more of this war, and yeah, not everybody, of course, is a soldier, but there are so many ways to support Ukraine. And you can send aid to inside your country, and it will be delivered. You can also donate money. So everything is possible. There are good ways to do so. And really, please, if you can afford it, please do so. This is most important, not for only for the Ukraine, but for everyone on this planet. So please do so. And thank you, Stephen, for making this happens. This is really outstanding. But sorry to interrupt you here before. I just wanted to put the 12,000 into perspective, because here in Europe at Origins, some people may think, wow, 12,000 is not a lot. But actually, it's a fairly sizable number. But Stephen, what did you do? What was your official position doing there?
So I was going anyway to Origins. I didn't go last year. I would have gone last year, but it got moved to like 2 weeks after Gen Con, and I went to Gen Con. So I had to give something up last year. I traveled so much last year, and I'm traveling so much again this year. So I was going anyway to a regular Origins in Columbus in June, and I was approached by some people who said, "Would you like to be co-host of Origins TV?" And I'm like, what does that mean? They say, well, you get to go around, interview the smallest companies in what we call the back row segment, interview the biggest companies in the strategic segment, your friends in the industry and stuff like that, who those big companies. And I went, so I get to be like Buonocore for like, half a day every day? I'm like, yeah, sign me up. So again, I didn't get paid for that. They bought me they took care of my room. That's it. I flew myself, paid for my meals. They took care of my room, and I gave them half of my day every day walking around. I had this huge camera that I did all the work myself, and I just shot segments. I shot 35 individual segments, mostly interviews, about half with the people, the smallest companies who don't have a game out, but they've got this prototype and they're showing it off, and they're going to run a Kickstarter hopefully in the fall. Up to and companies who do have a game out and they're just about to kickstart their second game. And then of course I interviewed the biggest companies. I even had an interview. I reached out, to all the people I know and want to talk to and stuff like that, and a good size, CGE, very big right now, and I'm very close with the people there. Arcane Wonders, who are just killing it right now.
Yeah.
All the guys like up there, Bezier Games, up that are sponsors of the show. I even reached out to Asmodee, knowing that they wouldn't even answer me. But the funny thing is, they did via their newest studio, and maybe I can even give a little plug here. Like, why does Asmodee need a plug? No, but Matt And designers out there who are listening to this might want to know this, and you should listen to my podcast because you would have found out about this already. Asmodee has a new studio called Office Dog, just Office Dog, not even Office Dog Studios. It's headed by this gentleman called Luke Petterschmidt, who's been in the industry forever.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're going to do is, and we've talked about this on Board Games Insider, what they're going to do is they're going to start to utilize all of those IPs of all of those electronic games and other games that they have and they own. So games, IPs they have inside their catalog, not like Disney and stuff, Star Wars and stuff, but Final Fantasy is now, part of the Embracer groups, IPs. Tomb Raider, right? Something like Legends of the Five Rings. This stuff is owned. The IP is owned by Asmodee or Embracer, and they are now going to design games based on those IPs. But for the designers out there, what's really cool is that they're going external for all of these games. Yeah. A lot of the Asmodee studios, right? They do internal stuff. So a designer, it's hard to pitch a game to Fantasy Flight. It's hard to pitch a game to Rebus. They have their own designers. You can design a game based on one of those IPs that they own or Embracer owns, their parent company, which is huge, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Small guy out there can do this, and if you want, you can go reach directly out to Luke Petterschmidt, and I'll try to find his contact information right now as we talk, and he would be glad if you have something for an IP or you just have a great game that you think, this would be good in a sci-fi IP, and they've got so many of them under their umbrella right now.
This is very important info for designers, and thanks for mentioning this. I think this is indeed huge, but of course, Matt is so smart. He knew about
Matt's
this
the smartest guy out there.
Luke was at Unpub, he says, in May. So for him, everything is old news. But I think this is important information. But there is another, Karthik, I thought your question. I will get back to this a little bit later, so I'm not forgetting you. And I think this Origins TV thing is a very, very good thing to do in general. Stephen and I, we talked a little bit before we started here, and one thing which I now have to mention, Stephen even pinged me at Skype 1 hour early because he thought we are now live. So I was really shocked because I thought I'm late 1 hour. So you see how eager Stephen is to be my guest. But we talked a little bit, and I think this Origins TV is great because 2 years ago Essen was just digital during the pandemic, and there was a lot of streaming and a lot of shows. Yes, Essen Digital was not, in my opinion, a huge success, but it allowed people from all over the world to participate in some ways at Essen. And I don't know exactly why, but last year at Essen, when Essen was smaller, but still it was a live show again, it disappeared again. And I think it is great to have both things. So the show, so Origins in Columbus, Ohio, but also allowing people from all over the world to enjoy Origins and participate, even of course in some other ways to get some use. So I think, especially at Board Games Insider from Ignazi, Gamma gets a lot of flack, and but I think this is a smart move.
Yes, and they also streamed, not live. I would record like on Wednesday, and then they would edit it, do some great professional editing, and then they would stream content all afternoon and evening in the corridors of the convention center. So if you're sitting there thinking about what to do, all of a sudden you can just watch a little bit of me interviewing Arcane Wonders or interviewing these really small companies. And people did it. People kept saying, I can't stop seeing Stephen Buonocore. He's all over the place. He's even on TVs throughout the convention center and silly things like that. So it was a really good idea for them. And I think that if they invite me back, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with that. But they're considering doing again with even more placement of the televisions and more places you can go watch this. And we both had a lot of ideas on how to improve the whole system. It was the first time we ever did it, and it was great.
Yeah, wonderful. So, and Matt, we know that Matt knows everything. He says on Twitter, Luke is at L. Peterschmidt, and you can send him a direct message for pitching. So I will put this info
and he's also,
at YouTube
and he's
as
told
well.
me I'm sorry to interrupt. He's also told me that you can reach him on email at lpeterschmidt@asmodena.com. So I don't know if you can put those into the thread.
I will definitely at YouTube. I will get all this info added in the notes. So this is really good and interesting. Good info in my opinion. Cool. But Matt has another question for you, Stephen. What game at Origins impressed you the most?
So I've been one thing I've been talking up a lot, and I mean, it's just something I can't stop talking about. Is Foundations of Rome
by Arcane. The huge thing, right?
The huge thing by Arcane Wonders, and that game I can't talk about enough. I got to play it at the end of last year on basically a production copy that they had shipped over just to show it off, and it finally was shipped out to backers, and I have a copy here. The game is so good, but with the added production value of what Arcane Wonders and Robert Geislinger, Guy is fantastic. He's really turned the company around. He's done a great job there, and he's a wonderful person. You feel like you're building Rome. You feel like you're using the mechanic from Acquire, where you can pick up the land lots. You have like a 10 by 10 grid, A1 through J10, right? So you got a grid, and you tighten up the grid depending on number of players. And then there's 3 actions you can take. You can buy a lot, and you buy it for, like, the first one's 2 gold or coins, the next one's 3, and then 4, and then 6. You can buy it on this in front of you. It shows you how much each one's worth, and they slide down. And you buy it and you mark it. Second thing you can do is build there in one of those places that you already own, or upgrade. Build or upgrade's the same action. You can take something that's a 2. It's already on the board with 2 spaces, but you required something that's a 3rd space. Then you can build a 3 building instead of a 2 building, or you can just take money to get some money for your economy. You have to manage doing that with population, and population is this really cool mechanic where at the end of each era, and there's 3 eras in the game, the person who has the highest population gets their population plus a bonus as their number of victory points. So say I was at 20 on the population track, I'd get 20 plus 4 extra points because I'm in first place. The person in second place, and let's say there's only a 2-player game, and they just entered the board and they're like on 1, they would get 20 victory points because you get the next person's position on the population track. So somebody, if they jump too far out, you can say, go ahead, you do population, I'm going to steal all your victory points. So it's a really interesting mechanic like that. And that's like the whole game, but the strategies are deeper because the types of buildings you put down are all about adjacencies. If I can put these special buildings next to each other, I'm getting a huge amount of victory points based on that. And I just love it. It's simple as all heck to play with very, very deep gameplay. Once you play it a couple of times, you see it. So simplicity, great game with phenomenal, like the best production qualities I've ever seen. My copy has they call the sun drop look to them. It's basically they put like a darker wash on them, and they look incredible.
Yeah, so I've heard really great things about it. Foundation of Rome, Arcane Wonders. Actually, personally, I have to say that I was put off by the amount of plastics in there. So it can work in both ways. And now I'm saying, because I'm hearing so many good things, maybe I should have gotten the game.
And it's definitely not a game for everybody. I mean, we'll start that. I mean, it's like $150 for this game. So if you know somebody who's living anywhere in your universe, kind of, play it with them. Everybody doesn't have to own a huge plastics game, and
Yeah.
plastics are rough on the environment, of course. So I agree. But this is something that I can put on a table, and I can literally play with a non-gamer. I can play with some of my family members who do not like games, because I can explain this game to them in a few minutes, and the fact that it looks so good,
Yeah.
they'll be drawn into it. If it was just cardboard, flat on a table, playable, it would be absolutely playable, and I think Arcane might even do that in the future. Create a $50 version of the game, and you could play it, but you wouldn't have that immersive feel, which you really have in this game. So I
No,
understand exactly what you're saying.
I agree 100%, and we all know how important table presence these days is to set yourself apart. So I think it is a smart decision. It's just this old fart over here. I was saying, no. So, and probably it was a huge mistake. And hello, Blue Dane 7, good seeing you. And Mary Mac is saying, my post Gen Con plan is to paint those buildings. Yeah, well, why not? Why not?
That's a lot of painting, but you go enjoy that. I'm not a painter. Hey, can I shout out one other company? So I shout
Yes,
out
of course.
here.
Because, Stephen, actually, sorry to interrupt you. My question would be now, because now that you're retired, you have so much time to play games. Matt's question was, which games at Origins? My add to that question would be, which other games impressed you recently?
So the next thing I want to mention from Origins is not even a game, but it's so hard to describe this. It's from a company called Sonic Realms, and I want to shout out their website, sonicrealms.net. They don't even have an official product to sell yet, but what they're doing, their tagline is role play made real, and they're going to create soundtracks for your role-playing session. And in fact, they're going to even create teaser reels, using sound, not using video to my knowledge, but they're creating these like teaser reels, and I got to listen to one of them where they would have professional voice actors doing discussing the campaign that you're in any one of it could be in D&D, it could be in Pathfinder, it could be in Shadowrun, whatever your thing is, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff that they've done, and they were showing off there. Professional voice actors doing things, and then if you'd like, you record your actual play group for a full session, and then they bring in a clip of the role playing that you did into it. So it'll be something like, it will be starring Uli Blenneman as the rogue, and then something you would say like, I believe that I can grab his pouch. Let me try. And some role-playing clip that you did, and that would be part of this thing that they would then give you. They excuse me, they have done a bunch of them and posted them kind of for free for people. And now they're looking to figure out how to monetize this whole thing. And I actually told them, this is so interesting and innovative, that I said, if you want, this is one of those people, I said, if you want me to try to work on some business model with you, I will be happy to do it, of course, for free. It's is way outside of my knowledge, but, we could figure out a cost basis. Well, how much is your time worth? How much do you put into this? And you just do a little cost accounting on the whole thing to figure out then, okay, this is what it kind of costs. Then what can we charge to make this actually make sense? And hopefully they do well. So that's sonicrealms.net. Check them out. There was just lovely young guys, and I think that they hopefully have something here.
Yeah, this sounds fantastic. So, and Stephen, maybe one other game, a real game that you played lately and did enjoy.
The only other thing that I can mention is that I played a full game of. I played a prototype, and I don't do that often at Origins, and it's going to be coming out from WizKids. I can just tell you a few things. The designer is Andrew Parks, a great friend of mine. He did Core Worlds for me. He's done just a huge slew of games, and it's this wonderful story-driven game. dripping in theme. I don't want to go any deeper because I can't tell you the theme, but Zev invited me to play, and Andy was excited to see me again because he was a good friend of mine from New Jersey. We got there, we played it, and I'm like, I can't wait. It should, with any luck, come out at the end of the year, but it might be a first quarter of next year release. WizKids, designed by Andrew Parks, dripping with theme and ultra story driven kind of game.
Wonderful. This is right up my alley, and I still have Core Worlds over there in one of these because I still think it's a really great game. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is fantastic. And so before we close here, Stephen, I have to get back to this question from Karthik, my good buddy Karthik, and there is the phone ringing. So you can mention another game here, Stephen. Please continue. I'll be back in a second.
He has to take phone calls in the middle of his Twitch stream. That's hysterical. I hope everything's okay. You know what? Instead of other games, there's so many that we can just keep grabbing. I'm going to mention a couple of things that I'll be doing and places I'll be going game-wise and people that hopefully I'll see some of you out there. So my next stop game convention-wise is Dice Tower East, which is quasi-local. It's a 2.5-hour drive from South Florida up to Orlando. That's Central Florida. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. Then I'm going to be on BGG at Sea. That's already booked. You can't do that one. Cruise out of Galveston, Texas, that BGG runs. And then the WBC, Uli's one of Uli's favorite conventions, but he can't go, I don't think, these days to WBC. And then Gen Con, and then Essen, and then BGG Con in Dallas, and then PAX Unplugged. So I'm doing all of that stuff this year still. So it's going to be a fantastic year of conventions. And if any of you are going to any of those things, please look me up and say hello. I just love getting stopped. I literally do love getting stopped in the middle of the hallway thinking, hey, love what you do, or hey, you're a jerk. Tom Vassel's right. Whatever you want to tell me, I'm happy to hear about it in the middle of the halls of any of these conventions. So let's have a beer or something like that. That would be great.
Yeah, and thank you for continuing here. It wasn't even the phone, which I thought it was a door. So and people are saying here in the chat it was Asmodee calling. No, they wouldn't ring at my door. I doubt it. I would be really surprised if Udo Fischer, the German CEO, would say, Uli, nice to see. He's a wargamer, so I would love to have him over here to play a game with him, but no. I don't think so.
I don't think he's coming up. You don't live anywhere near him, I bet. You're in a very small town, as I recall, right?
Yeah, but I'm only because Asmodee's headquarters in Germany is in Essen. This is a 1-hour drive by car, so it's very close. So I'm just literally from Essen 1 hour away if traffic goes well to the north.
And Düsseldorf. So what's the closest major city? Dusseldorf?
My
Dusseldorf,
closest
Essen,
city is Münster. Münster is a little bit farther north, but I'm very close to the Dutch border. So 30 minutes by car, and I'm in the Netherlands. So, but Essen isn't far away at all. But Karthik's question was, and you answered this, if I heard it correctly, if you are coming to Essen. Yes, and Stephen already said, and I'm so much looking forward to this. We will have cheap Prosecco, cheap Chardonnay. So you'll love it. I'm saying this is wonderful stuff. So and
it'll be a lot of fun.
You'll love it. But there are a few other questions here. Or comments. Mo is saying, before you go, Uli, I'm back. Fingers crossed for Mallorca. Yeah, I'll enjoy the editors meeting there. It is a nice week. So I guess. And Karthik is asking, how's El Burro, which is the next La Granja game by Spielworxx coming along. I will have demo copies at Essen. If everything at the booth, so you can play the game with almost finished artwork. The game should go to crowdfunding Novemberish. But the game is design-wise, it's now finished. Just some balancing things. You know this. Is this card really a 3? Is it a 4? And all this fun stuff. But otherwise, this is done. Okay. And Stephen, my great pleasure having you here. Thank you so much. This was wonderful, and of course, thank you all. Thank you to all the viewers. This was great. There won't be a Spielworxx chat next week because I'm at Mallorca. The next one is at July 5, so in 2 weeks. And I'm coming back on Monday, so one day earlier, and I will have lots of Spielworxx news at that time. So I'm excited for this. Again, thank you all for your time. If you would like to talk about a topic and mention it to me in advance, or have a question, please drop me a mail at uli@spielworxx.de. That is uli@spielworxx.de. And Stephen, would you like to mention your favorite communication channel again? Is it Twitter, or how should people?
Well, to like actually speak to me, always. I mean, I watch my Twitter channel, so you can post right directly into Twitter, which is @Podfather Gaming. You can even DM me there if you want. Of course, the Facebook group, the Podfather of Gaming group. Come, join, hang out, have fun there. And as Uli listens himself, listen to Board Games Insider or watch Board Games Insider right on my YouTube channel, which is the Podfather of Gaming on YouTube. I think it's informative. I enjoy doing it.
Yes.
I think Ignacy and I have a great rapport. I'm going to see Ignacy at Dice Tower East just in a few weeks. He's flying in. He's going to be in America for 4 weeks, all the way through to Gen Con. I think he said he's going to be here, which is going to be wonderful. And hopefully I'll get to see him a bunch of times, and maybe I can convince him to have a beer instead of a cookie. No, I can't. He will not do it. He'll not do it. but his wife Mary is wonderful, and she drinks beer with me, so it's nice.
So
thank you, Uli, so much.
That is good. And with this, till July 5, bleibt alle gesund, support the Ukraine, and bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.